Guys, Ludwig, my favorite creator, is having a hard time. His business failed, and that is sad.
Our people worked hard and we made amazing content. We failed. We made the difficult decision to shut down that side of the business.
I actually do think that Ludwig had a really cool business. It was a production company called Offbrand that he would do these very cool live game show events with all these camera angles and TV quality production. I thought it was really cool, but unfortunately, that business has now failed, and I mean, it sucks. It sucks for sure.
Sad day. But tis life. Tis life, and you know what you do? Keep moving, because that's what the globe does. All right, see you later. Have a good one. Goodbye.
Got a little bit of a Ludwig situation going on right now. Obviously, we've talked about Ludwig a lot. There's probably a lot of certified Ludwig haters in chat. And Ludwig recently posted a video about how his production company, Offbrand, is getting shut down. Now, say whatever you want about him, but I do think it's cool that, he's managed to do a rather professional production company where they hold these live events. The live events are, very, very high effort, like game show type stuff. I think it is cool. Offbrand, I believe they did pretty much all of his game shows like this. This is like a live, straight up TV show, basically, he did. And I think that is cool. I think it is cool to be able to pull this off. Now, I think that it's getting shut down because they couldn't make money off of it, which I do have empathy for. So I'm curious, maybe we can empathize a little bit with Ludwig today, okay? Maybe we can empathize with our favorite Ludwiga. Maybe we can feel bad for him, or maybe we'll shit on him. Who knows? We'll see.
A couple of years ago, I made a video on this channel called My Plan to Quit Streaming. And in that video, I talked about how I started a company called Offbrand with the idea of making events for not just myself, but other creators. And that company was mostly made up of former Beyond the Summit employees. Unfortunately, yesterday we had to announce that we were closing down the production side of Offbrand. We released a statement that I'm going to read verbatim because it's pretty well written. When we started Offbrand, our plan was to help creators bring their ideas to life. For many creators, we did that, and we're proud of everything we helped create. Our people worked hard and we made amazing content, but we failed to make the events business sustainable. And as a result, we made the difficult decision to shut down that side of the business. Offbrand Games isn't going anywhere, and I'm going to keep making events through Mogul Moves. But we want to thank everyone who supported and watched the events we helped produce. If you're looking for talented folks in production,
this is the same business. I'm pretty sure that he turned it into a co-op at some point. Because traditionally, the way a business works is you have like the boss, and then you have employees, right? And the employees follow the boss's lead. But I believe he turned it into a co-op in a way that they still have like some corporate structure, but it's a lot of things go to a vote between all the employees, which is a very interesting way to do it. You could have a production company with 6 to 8 people. I don't think he had more than like 20 people at Offbrand, but I could be wrong. Each employee holds equal share. I think that is the way that it goes. Ludwig Offbrand. Yeah, he sold his company at some point. Maybe we should start with this and then move on to this one because this is 6 months ago.
I have some breaking news, a Mogul Mail exclusive scoop. Now, you guys know about a year ago, I made a company called Offbrand. And I made it with the goal of basically making events that I think are cool and also dope for myself. And when I retire, making events that are cool and also dope for other creators. And so far, that's worked great.
This is the kind of thing that makes me want to like Ludwig because I don't really watch these events because I don't really like Twitch streamers. I think most of them suck, but I do like the idea of like doing these big, doing these very big productions that are like of similar quality to TV stuff where you have like all these YouTube stars and they're, they're playing basketball. You've got all these camera angles. It's very hard to pull that kind of thing off. Like it was a nightmare for one of the Tom IRL videos we did recently. It was an absolute nightmare just having like 3 or 4 camera angles. Like editing it was kind of a nightmare. Filming it in the first place is kind of a nightmare. Just getting it all set up, making sure that it all made sense and that the cameras were in the right place. Like this video, if you watch this video was a pain in the ass to set up. It took a lot of planning. And ultimately it made $0. It made literally no money. So I do think it's cool when somebody's able to pull it off successfully and even make ends meet for a small amount of time. I do think it's pretty cool.
Check out, we have a sheet that has a lot of the people listed. I've already had a lot.
We got to start with this one.
A few months ago, we made the dodgeball event, which was massive. And then a week ago, I made Fast 50, which was a speedrunning event that raised over $250,000. Dude, thank you so much if you donated $250,000. That's a lot of money. But we don't just do events for me. We've done a couple events for other creators. Like
this. Look at this whole set. This is really cool. Like they built out like a whole like movie studio inside of a warehouse with all these little screens in the background. Like this is really awesome. Thank you for the dono, Felix.
The Doug Shuffleathon, which I think can only exist if you have Doug and Germa in a room together, or if you take enough mushrooms to kill a man. And we made a huge event, or worked with Cutie to make a huge event, the Streamer Awards 2020.
And I do hate the Streamer Awards. I like the production side. I like the art stuff. I like the video stuff that he did. I do hate the Streamer Awards, though. The Streamer Awards is like the most self-congratulatory circle jerk of Twitch streamers congratulating each other of all time. This is the same event that somehow Frogan got up and coming content creator 2 years in a row while getting like 90 viewers live, right? This is the same exact thing. Streamer Awards fucking sucks. But, you know, it did look good. It did have a nice set. Until Tom wins everything, the Streamer Awards is nothing to me. I would never get a win at Streamer Awards. That would never happen. Even if I was somehow the biggest streamer in the world, that would never happen. But, you know, it's just, I don't think that's realistically ever going to be the case.
24. That was produced by Offbrand as well. So you get the idea. We've done a couple of big things for me, a couple of big things for other creators. Everything's working great. So why the fuck is the title of this video, I am selling my company? And the answer is simple, because I am. But it's not what you think. Now, I was the largest owner of Offbrand. I put the most money in, and so, you know, that's how corporations generally work. Whoever fronts the most capital gets the largest sharehold. But I thought to myself, the fuck am I doing with all this ownership? Like, what's the goal? Is it so that when I eventually retire, I can cash out and get a big payday?
I mean, yeah. I mean, yes, I think that is the goal of building a business, no? I mean, obviously, it's cool to do something good with your business and make a product people like. But, I mean, personally, if I was building a business, yes, that would be the goal, to cash out and get a big payday, ultimately.
I'm good money-wise. And I'm not just saying that to, like, seem higher than thou or whatever, or seem like a good guy. Genuinely, I've just made a shitload of money. Enough so that when I buy a $4,000 tungsten cube, I don't think twice about it. And to me personally, I feel like when you have that much money, you're good.
Look, I don't have as much money as Ludwig, okay? We're both up there enough that we're in the same tax bracket and there's no further tax bracket passed. But regardless, I want to be honest, dude. If I got to the level of money he was at, I would still want more. I would still want more, okay? I would, to be honest. I would. You think so? Yeah, definitely, for sure. 1000%. He was one of the biggest Twitch streamers of all time. He's got huge YouTube channels. Yeah, but I think I want to be honest. I like money. I'm a greedy fucker. Okay. If I had $10 million, I'd be thinking about how to get 30 or 40 or 100. That's how my brain works. Okay. So I'm acting like Mr. Beast. That's just how I am, bro. That's just how I am. You know, it's not even because I want to buy anything. There's nothing I really want to buy. I mean, I guess there are things I'd want to buy for the fun of it, but you know, like I guess I would like to have Lamborghini money, but I think I just like my job enough that I just want to keep leveling up and going further in it, whether or not the money's going to materially change my life right now, you know? In my opinion, the only problem is when you start justifying shitty behavior for money. That's when it becomes bad, and you shouldn't do that. I'm up and coming right now, based. Buy a country? Buy a country would be cool. Buying Legos would be cool. There's more to life than money? Well, obviously. Undoubtedly, yeah. That's not the only thing, but it does matter. Like, how annoying is it when you hear a guy who's like got so much money like Ludwig being like, there's more to life than money? You probably don't want to hear that, you know, whether or not he's right. Can I have $1,000, Tom, please? Oh man, I don't know. I'm pretty strapped for cash right now. I feel like if you gave me 1,000, I might be able to hold it for a bit and then give it back. That might be the way to go.
I feel like I don't need any more. I really don't. I feel good about that. So who did I sell it to then? Did I sell it for money? And the answer is also no. I sold it for literally dollars. And the person I sold it to are the people who work at Offbrand, because Offbrand has officially become a worker cooperative. And basically what that means is the people who work there, the people in this photo right here, the beautiful smiles, now all get a say and a vote at what happens at the company, an equal vote to people like me, right? It's not based off like who put the most money up and now I get to fucking swing my dick at the table. I have as big of a vote as like, you know, someone who's worked there as long as I have who operates a camera. Because at the end of the day, what is my goal with Offbrand? One, for the people who work there to have a fucking kick-ass time in a good life. Two, for it to last as long as possible. Because I know you've seen what I've seen, which is companies in the gaming world aren't exactly thriving, all right? They're dying left and right, and I don't want to just survive. I want us to thrive.
This is specifically in the esports realm, right? I'm pretty sure esports events make literally no money whatsoever. I mean, this seems like a very noble, you know, kind of noble pursuit. I think the main problem with something like this is a lot of people who are on the production side of things don't actually know how the picture comes together to make content, right? Like they don't know how to make a good thumbnail. They don't know what makes a good video in the first place. They can only see the individual smaller pieces. And that's not a knock to them because, you know, if you've been doing content like Ludwig for 10 years and it's your job, obviously you're going to understand what makes content succeed better than the average camera guy whose role ultimately is the camera stuff, right? So I think that a problem you can run into is, you know, you've got too many cooks in the kitchen essentially, where everybody has the right to make a decision as much as they want, but should they really be in that position? Maybe not. How is it considered a gaming company? Well, I believe they do game production as well, or game development, to my knowledge. He's literally only doing this so Hassan can point to this and see worker co-ops works. I mean, I don't doubt that Hassan did have some part, his influence did have some part in Ludwig doing this, but I highly doubt that he's like, I don't know. Maybe I'm giving Ludwig too much agency here, but I doubt that he made this entire business a co-op just to impress one guy. I think, you know, even if that might have been part of the motivation, I think he probably thought it would make his business work better, or he thought that it would be a good thing to do. Seisha says, would you want to run a company or a shop in the future, like a local gym or talent agency? Would never run a talent agency. Fuck that. I mean, a shop would be cool if it makes a bunch of money. That would be cool. A gym would be cool if it makes a bunch of money. But I'm not like the most fitness forward guy in the world. I'm kind of retarded. So I don't know that I would be the best guy to run that. I don't know. I don't know if I'd be the guy. Also, gyms are expensive. Gyms are very expensive. Very, very expensive.
Think this is the best path forward for a stronger work culture, a happier work culture, and a more sustainable company. So that's the first part. Now, the second part is that events alone aren't really going to cut it. I mean, they're kick-ass, but they're also huge ways to, maybe...
Would you manage OnlyFans girls? Fuck no. Absolutely not. That is one of the things that is not worth the money, for sure. Absolutely not. Not even just because it's unethical. More so that it's just annoying. You have to talk to women every day. That is not worth my time. I'm sorry. That's just not worth it. Maybe I would manage guys on OnlyFans, but girls? No way.
Market some other things that you're making. And I'm not going to announce that I'm making a fucking chocolate bar or a hydration drink. I like making things that I like playing. And so we're announcing today that Offbrand is adding a new vertical. We're entering a new foray with Offbrand Games, a game publishing studio. That's what we decided to make. Now, you might be thinking, I know what you're thinking. Oh, wow. Another fucking YouTuber who made a game publishing company. We're basically becoming like actors with alcohol. And Ryan Reynolds and all those motherfuckers who got like a gin and a vodka, except for with YouTubers.
I don't know what games Ludwig has made. I don't know what games Offbrand has made, but I will say his good buddy Atrioc, who I'm a big fan of. Okay, he did make a game that I do want to play on stream at some point. This is not a joke. I'm an Atrioc fan. He made a game, Get to Work, that looks pretty fun, and I want to play this game. It's like Get Over It mixed with QWOP, mixed with Monkey Ball or something like that, and it looks pretty sick. So I'll probably play this game on stream eventually. I think I did buy it already on Steam. So I think this would be pretty sick. Look at this. This looks insane. This looks super funny. So that's cool. All right. So that happened. But at this point, we're a year out from that. And apparently Offbrand is shutting down the production side of things. So I'm curious to see what happened here.
A lot of people personally reach out interested. So if you're hiring, reach out fast. I would love if you did that. Now, this video is absolutely not to garner sympathy in any way, shape, or form, but it is more so to answer questions about how we got to this point, and then some just general like misinformation I've seen to respond all of it in a one-stop shop.
Where do you usually find topics for your videos? Sometimes viewer suggestions are good, but most of the time they're pretty bad. Most of the time, viewers and the thing that they want me to make a video about will not make a good video. So typically Twitter, a few subreddits, rarely 4chan, all those sources are pretty decent. And sometimes it'll be like, usually journalists do a bad job of covering topics, but sometimes they'll pick out a good topic. So what I'll do is I'll look up like influencer or YouTuber or something like that on YouTube is like a keyword, and then I'll go to the news tab and see what's going on. And sometimes there's something good there. Sometimes there is actually something good that's worth covering, even if the journalist didn't do a good job. And even if the format they're doing, which is an article, is like something that nobody gives a fuck about.
Opposed to talking about it on stream every day. Now, the first thing I see a lot of people talk about is somehow connecting this to the structure of the company and it being a co-op. The most annoying people in the world are going to blame this on Ludwig turning Offbrand into a workers' co-op. I've seen a lot more people worried about these type of people than those type of people actually existing. But I mean, simply put, this is almost completely irrelevant to the structure of the business. The structure of the business, in fact, is also still in place, right? Offbrand Games is still a co-op, and it would only ever change if all the employees wanted to change that. But the real issue was the business model. Member. Now, the business model wasn't working, wasn't making money. And the main difference, if you have like a traditional S corporation as opposed to a worker co-op, is it's easier to get outside investment. But I don't think outside investment would help a failing business model. And we know that because it happens all the time, like esports. They have a bunch of outside investment, but when that VC money dries up, it shows that the underlying business model isn't working and they have to change their business model.
So this is like when people are telling me, they're like, why don't you do more high production streams? Why don't you do more high budget stuff with like 20 camera angles, all that shit? And part of the reason why is because of horror stories like this, where, you have a guy like Ludwig who has made millions and millions of dollars off of streaming in his bedroom, basically with no budget, right? Playing games, giving out his personality. That is the core of streaming at the end of the day for most people, right? And then you have stories like Offbrand, where Offbrand does like these TV productions. They have high quality stuff. They have 30 different camera angles that are switching constantly. They have all these cool graphics and animations and whatever, but they get less viewership than an independent streamer just talking about whatever they want to talk about and connecting with the audience through the parasocial chat donation encouragement method, right? They make less money than that, and less people watch it, and then the business goes belly up ultimately, right? So like, that is kind of why, I think a lot of people online have like this big focus on quality, on gear, on how good your camera is, on how good your mic is. And sorry to break it to you guys, but literally none of that matters. Literally none of that fucking matters. As long as your video is listenable and like watchable in terms of like the lowest bar, people will watch it. If you have like all this high budget stuff that you're focusing on, the personality can very easily get lost and people don't want to watch it. You know, they don't want to watch it. Just making TV again on the internet is a very difficult thing to do and to get people to care about.
We did that without the outside investment. And of course, outside investment can help like with an initial runway because, you know, most businesses don't make money in the first year. But instead of finding that money from the outside, I personally invested. I used my own money. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
How is the Lego collection going? I've literally bought like one Lego set in the past year, and it's the Batmobile I showed recently. I haven't been buying Legos. I have been carving out a little more personal time for myself, so it's possible that I will do that in the future, but like, I don't know. It's just not, I don't really like collecting things that much. You know, if it's something I really like, a set I really like, you know, sometimes it'll be in my mind that I'll buy it. But honestly, the thing I like more is collecting live streams on my channel, collecting videos on my channel, okay? Creating my own collection of content. Production matters to some degree, but only so long as you're not posting in like 360p. Yeah, exactly. But even like people who are posting in 360p, like the way that Jinxie and Queso and all those guys blew up is off of having like the worst camera and white quality of all time. But they were just so entertaining that, you know, that really pushed through. If you have a limited budget, if you have a limited amount of stuff you can actually do, you're pushed to focus on the thing that matters, which is the quality of your content, you know, which is not the quality of the production, the quality of the actual content, what you're saying, how funny you are, how much you connect with the audience, how good your gameplay is, right?
A lot of people are curious what German's going to be up to. And German's talked a bit about this on his stream, but about 6 months ago, I think, maybe a little more, German stepped back from Offbrand Productions to just deal with some stuff in his personal life. He was an irreplaceable part of Offbrand. Like, he adds a creativity that I think is one-on-one. I don't think I've ever seen it in another human. You don't get Doug Shovelthon without the mind of Jeremy. You don't get like unpaid intern without the mind of Jeremy. He's a super talented guy. But as far as like, you know, does this mean he's a full-time streamer or whatever? That is for Jeremy to speak to. But it shouldn't functionally change how his life was operating in the coming 6 months based off like the past 6 months when he initially stepped back to like have some more time for himself. Hope that makes sense. Next thing I'm seeing a bit of, is this because the YouTube contract is over? Kind of the same answer as the worker co-op versus the S Corp. The YouTube contract allowed me to have a lot more money to like invest in places, right? And invested in various things, whatever. So I don't.
Oh yeah, Ludwig recently said he was done with YouTube streaming. He was done with YouTube streaming. Because he got a contract a few years ago where YouTube was paying out pretty big contracts to, like, I want to say Valkyrie, Ludwig, a few people like that, and they came over to YouTube from Twitch, but now they're all going back to Twitch after that contract is done. And even like a lot of people like who are on Kick, for example, like Aiden Ross, he said he's going back to Twitch. I guess they ultimately determined that it just wasn't really worth, you know, YouTube is good for streaming. Like, I don't have any qualms with it, but I think if you're trying to build like the most parasocial autistic community possible, Twitch is better for it. They have better chat interaction ultimately. The one thing that Twitch doesn't have, what I'm confused about, is that Twitch doesn't really have real super chats, right? Like, they don't have the super chat function that YouTube has where you donate and you get your message highlighted as like a big thing in the chat, right? It's not the same.
I don't have a big sum of money to, you know, keep it rolling for a year, 2 years, whatever.
Critical did it too. Well, he never, to my knowledge, Critical never had a contract with YouTube, right? Like, they didn't pay him. Like, when I say contract, what I mean is YouTube was doing a thing where they were paying specifically streamers a large amount of money so they would exclusively stream on YouTube.
But even if I did, you know, whenever that money runs out, again, underlying business model was not making money. So let's talk about why it wasn't making money.
You do get a monthly highlighted chat when you're sub renews. Yeah, YouTube has that too as well. YouTube does have that, which is good. But one of the negative things about Twitch is Twitch doesn't store your VODs forever. Like, if you stream on Twitch consistently and people want to watch your old VODs, I think they only save them for like a month or two. And then past that, if you're streaming enough, the old VODs aren't going to be there for people to watch. YouTube has live rewind where, like, I'm streaming right now, but you guys can go back to the beginning of the stream or go to an earlier part if you want to see that, if you don't want to watch literally the most live moment possible. But Twitch doesn't have that. You can only stream live in the moment at that point in time, which is weird. I don't know why Twitch would not fix that. Maybe Amazon Web Services can't host the video. I don't really understand. More like stupid chats. Thank you, Felix, for becoming a member.
Now, a lot of people are hypothesizing that it's because events don't make money, but that's not actually true, right? They don't necessarily sometimes make money for me as the creator directly. You know, if I spend, like, I guess a good example, $1.5 million on chess boxing, but I only personally make $1.25 million back, you might think of that as a $250,000 loss for me. And like, oh, why is Ludwig running events? That's bad for him. But you can, or at least I can, maybe safely assume that, hey, I might make $250,000 of extra value as a creator because I have grown as a result of doing this event, right? This is the biggest event I've ever done. It has the most eyeballs. And over the course of the next 5 years, that $250,000 will come back through like the extra growth that created.
Right. There's like there's a certain amount of swag you develop. Like, because there is like the short-term benefit of like, okay, is this event directly making money? And then there's a long-term benefit of if I do something really cool that people really like, regardless of if it makes money or not, it will benefit me because the viewers will be more loyal. I'll get a lot of people from the outside who want to click on my content. It'll help me out in the long term, right? So I think there is kind of a difference there. There's a cost swag analysis you have to learn. That's very true. Like, for example, when I did a long time ago on this channel, maybe a year ago, I did the Tipster diss track, right? So the video on Tipster at this point has 800,000 views. Okay, so let me go to the analytics on that video and see how much money that particular video made. Right. So this video long term made $5,586 in ad revenue, which is good, but the cost of the music video alone was $5,000, and then the editor out of the remaining $586 gets 40% of it. So on that video overall, for all the effort put in, I technically made like $300. Actually, I made less than that because out of all the revenue from the video, the editor gets paid 40% of it. So I made less than that even. But I was okay with it because I had the money and I was like, well, it'd be really funny if I did a diss track and like whatever, right? I can't do that every day because I would go fucking bankrupt. But, you know, one of those videos once in a while where you put in a bunch of effort and, you know, money and time into it and it doesn't make you the money back in the short term or even the long term, it's okay because it's like, well, the video's still good. Do you think you got any more subs off it? I mean, I definitely got subscribers off of it. I don't know that I got enough subscribers that it financially offset the cost of the video, but I'm okay with doing it once in a while because it's just like funny, you know?
So I don't mind that loss. And the production company doesn't have that loss, right? They are a production company that itemizes the amount of costs that they had to bear, including employee time, and then covers that cost sometimes with like, you know, an additional like service fee. So they are not losing money. In fact, those are the best months is when there are huge events like Streamer Awards or you know, a HS Boxing. The issue isn't the events, it is the time between events. So if we had a Streamer Games, a Streamer Awards, a Sea Dog charity auction every single month or even 2 a month, you know, that's what the team is capable of handling and would also need to handle to be able to sustain itself. So the issue was less that events don't make money, but more so that the appetite from creators for events of that scale at the cadence it would need to be would not allow people to be employed full time.
Right. And on top of that, part of the problem with this business model is you're relying on all these big stars, right? Because you have the business itself, you have the people that work there that actually do the video production, but then you also have like, you need to get like big streamers like Mizkif or Seer or whoever the fuck else to be a part of it to make it get views. And you need to rely on their schedules and rely on what they're doing and maybe even need to pay them. And so that's just more money out the ass, you know, more variables you're dealing with that are a really big pain. So, I mean, to me, it's not really surprising that this business did fail in the long term. To be honest, it is kind of sad that it did because I do like the idea that, you know, people can build these very, you know, high effort, high production events for, you know, the YouTube world and make money off of it. I think it's a cool idea, but ultimately it's not surprising to me that it just completely failed, right? It's not really shocking to me.
You can kind of see that the appetite isn't there if you just look at the biggest streamers in the world over the past year on Twitch. This is like the top 15 creators on Twitch. And you can see here, nobody except for Kai on this list is doing big events. You know, I guess Tarek is doing Ludwig Tarek 3 and a few other things to his credit. And, you know, Hassan did that show with Twitch, but for the most part, most of these people are just in their bedroom every day and their costs are like what it costs to keep the lights on and have internet running through their computer. That's about it. There are very few creators who are interested in, you know, spending $250,000, $500,000 to do some random cool shit that at least, you know, some big event or whatever. They'd rather do it from home. And who can blame them? I think they're doing that because that's a reflection of what the audience wants as well. All right. If you look at the best streamed event nominees for 2024, it's a lot different than it was a few years ago. You know, it doesn't mean it's worse. It's just different. Like the road trip to TwitchCon, that was a fucking banger stream. But the reality is NMP set up all the tech for that. And it's like feeling like you are a part of this road trip with these people with maximum chat interaction, as opposed to something like streamer games, which is like, kind of like a fun knockoff Olympics with a bunch of creators, but you don't get that interaction that I think a lot of people vie for when they're watching streams.
Right. And this is what I said. The audience's appetite for these high production stuff is far, far lower than their appetite is for just a streamer in their room talking about what they're doing, or a streamer filming a road trip inside of a car, right? People don't actually give a fuck if you're putting in all the effort to make the most high effort, nice looking stream of all time. They don't care. They don't care. And that's, I guess an audience problem, if that's what you want to call it, but that's just the world we live in, right? That is the world we live in. Such productions are fueled by heavy drama. Without it, they just flew. You mean flop? What do you mean fueled by heavy drama? Have any of Ludwig's productions had a lot of heavy drama behind it? I have not heard about any of that. Tom's the type of guy to want personal time. So true. NMP lol films girls and has escalated. No Diddy based.
And so I think there's like a general shift that creators are doing that is a reflection of their audience's appetite. Now, we were able to make a lot of cool shit happen in the 2 years that we existed, starting from Mogul Money Live, which is kind of like the first event that then started the snowball.
What is Mogul Money Live? What is that actually event? Is it like Shark Tank? Mogul Money Live. What is this? All right, so first you have a $40 countdown timer, 40-minute countdown timer. That seems kind of bad for viewership. Like, why not just start the stream as soon as you have everything ready? Oh, it's like Jeopardy. It looks like it's like Jeopardy.
Connor, thank you.
Wow.
No.
This anymore. Am I right?
I feel like a Shark Tank knockoff could actually be cool, where people pitch their product ideas. I mean, you don't have to do it on live TV. You can do it pre-produced, but that would actually probably be a cool show. Like content creator fueled Shark Tank, where they pitch their business ideas to 3 successful people. Like Mr. Beast, Logan Paul, and KSI do Shark Tank. I think that would be pretty funny, actually. I would probably watch that.
Of Offbrand, and we did Juice, Chess Boxing, Germa's Christmas special, like 3 Ludwig Tarek's, Pog Champs. But you'll notice a lot of these are just my events. That's just the fact. A lot of them are my events. And I, unfortunately, although I wish I could be, am not a big enough creator to be able to sustain all of those full-time employees. I'm just not. I tried, man. I try to do every big event I possibly could, and every cool thing. I worked as hard as I ever have this past year. But like maybe only Kai is big enough to be able to do that, and has the appetite to also do that. And we didn't have enough outside streamers to be able to fill all those gaps between the large events that we did do.
Who cares about these creators genuinely? I mean, there's a lot of people, as much as I don't like a lot of them, a lot of people do care about these creators and watch them super parasocially. Like a lot of the appeal of Twitch these days is just like watching a reality TV show. It's like watching these different people interact with other streamers, have drama with them, have friendships with them, seeing their relationships transpire over time. Like, to my understanding, a lot of the appeal of early Miskip streams was just figuring out whether or not he was going to date that girl Maya Higa. I'm pretty sure that's the deal. Like, a lot of people do care about it. The super parasocial audience loves this stuff. I just don't personally have the time to watch all of it, so it's like, why the, it's funny to make videos about it after the fact, but when you have to actually watch all the stuff these creators are doing every day, it's kind of a pain in the ass.
All right, I hope that makes sense. That's the general issue. Now, again, Offbrand Games isn't going anywhere, okay? Offbrand Games is going amazing, honestly. Like Rivals of Ether 2 has been a blast to publish and promote and like play, although at times it's been sad because I dropped down to silver, but I enjoyed it a lot. And that part of the business,
thanks for the donut,
we
mystery.
are going to keep going, all right? We have a lot of people still on that team. It's just the production side, which is changing. So for me personally, it's going to be switching to more contract work and also switching, I think, the style of events that I do. For example, I did 2 events in the past month. One is World's Greatest Gamer, where I got all the greatest gamers in the world. I flew them out. They drove out 20 people.
I think contract work is the way to go a lot of the time with these creative pursuits, because it's very, especially in the beginning, it's very hit or miss if you're actually going to make the content make money. So if you do contract work once or twice, which is like you don't have an official employee, you're just paying them for the work they do in that specific event, that's probably much better in the long term than having all these employees. Because if you have all these employees, you have a business you're running, you have to pay them all monthly, a consistent amount of money. You have to basically find things for them to do, which in a world like content creation, which is so ever changing, which is, constantly trends are coming and going, it's probably usually a bad idea to have a lot of employees really early on unless you have an extremely consistent business model. You have editors on payroll? No, all contract. But they do get paid consistently from the contract work, but all contract for sure.
People put them up in hotels. It was a 2-day event, streamed it, and Void eventually won. It was sick. That peaked at about 30,000 viewers. It was a lot of fun to do. The other event I did was League Week. It was in this exact room. We had a pretty cool set. Me and Connor played League for 100 hours straight. I won as many games as I lost.
How do you find artists for your merch? It's just one guy. He does it all.
And we peaked at like 38,000 viewers on just my stream. I think 50 across both streams, which is crazy, right? It's crazy because the cost of League Week is 20 times lower, but I think reflects what audiences want, which is like maximum engagement with their streamer. That doesn't mean I'm going to stop doing events because I still really like doing things like streamer games. You know, for me, that's like fucking winter vacation when you're in school. It's like, that's the shit that I do look forward to doing. So still want to do things like streamer games. We'll still try to do that next year. And other events have already switched to being done by contractors. If you have a keen eye, you might have noticed the most recent Ludwig wasn't produced by Offbrand. Neither was the LACS Rivals event. That was also not produced by Offbrand.
What 100 hours of League of Legends does to a man's company. I think the main issue is that unless you have a really inspired creator, there really is never an incentive whatsoever for streamers to do large events. I mean, let's just be honest. Streamers often put a lot of time into the streams themselves, but they do it with effectively zero prep at all. Most just hit the go live button and play the game they wanted to play or talk about the thing they want to talk about. I think Ludwig has too much faith in other streamers being as motivated to make fun, interesting, and bigger events. Yeah, and at the end of the day, why would they be interested in these bigger events when they don't really make money? Like, why would they? It's much better in terms of just a pure business perspective to just fire up a stream, talk about whatever you want to talk about, and get off. What happens if I drink 2 Coke Zeros a day every day? Well, you're not drinking gamer subs, so you should be drinking gamer subs, to be honest with you. Honestly, gutted to hear this. As someone who works in digital production, it was so incredible to see a company that felt like it had its structure right, especially with the co-op. I've always cheered it from the sidelines and shared it as something that should be seen as a best practice. I hope at the very least, someone sees what you started here and takes it forward into the future. I kind of doubt they will at this point, considering that this one made no money. I don't think the co-op seemingly had that big of a effect on it falling apart. Maybe it did, and I just don't know the internal politics of the company, so maybe it did actually have a big effect, but I just have no internal knowledge of how the co-op structure changed how the business went, or if it made it better or worse in the long run, or contributed to the downfall of the company.
There were some Offbrand employees working on it, but those events are still going to happen. This doesn't mean that, like, no, I'm not doing any more Smash events or any more stream. That's not at all what this means. And at some point, I might talk a little bit more about how this happened so suddenly, but it's because the cost mounted quite quickly. All right, simply put. It got to a basically unsustainable point. And I've seen some people give shit for like the timing of this, right? Like before the holidays, whatever, which is fair criticism. We are doing like a good severance package. We are paying people out for the next 2 months. But the reality is if we were to have kept this business going until March, I would not only have enough money, I would not only not have enough money to keep Offbrand going, but I'd also have to shut down Mogul Moves at that point. It was beginning to impact both businesses with just the burden of costs of the production side, if that makes sense. So it's something we had to act quickly on. And if we were to delay breaking the news to the employees, you know, maybe you could announce this after the holiday break and sit on it, then they would just have less time to find work. So obviously the timing is not ideal, but we did it and we acted the moment we found out the information that, hey, by March, if we don't do something, everything is going to shit.
In my opinion, this is kind of unrelated, but sort of on the same note. There are a lot of YouTubers who they make some money, things go well, they have a few contractors, and they're like, okay, what if we just did everything in real life instead, right? What if we had an office building, we rented out because we have the money for it, and we had everybody as an employee, you know, in real life? Because it seems like a cool idea, right? To go from doing content creation in your bedroom to having an office building you go to and report to. It seems like a very cool idea. But ultimately, the problem you end up running into is that for a lot of content creation, remote work is perfectly fine. It works. It works well. Like I was thinking at one point, I was like, for my contractors, what if I had like an IRL space to have would it make things better? And ultimately the conclusion I came to was like, it might be fun to have it in the future, maybe it would be cool, but I don't think it's a necessary component of any business in the content creation space unless you're filming stuff in real life all the time, as in like multiple people that are like stars of the show. It doesn't really make sense to have that because the actual people doing the work, doing the editing, you know, they can just do it from home. They can get the editing done there, and there's no real benefit to them being in person in an office space. In fact, the office space can cause a lot of distractions, you know, where you're fucking around with coworkers instead of getting the thing you're supposed to be done. And then on top of that, like you're paying out all this money to have this like in real life space that you don't really need, you know, you just don't really need it. Especially like, you know, instead of buying like a house to do this stuff out of, a lot of people will buy a specific office building or they'll rent it out. And it's like, you're just hemorrhaging cash that could be spent getting other people to work remotely. You end up overextending your business. Also, if you get an IRL space, it severely limits who you can even hire. Yeah, because then you're limited to people who are local or people from the United States. And if you want to get people who aren't in the United States there, you have to pay for immigration stuff, which is a pain in the ass. Less is more. True. Personally, I'd find working at home more distracting. Well, it depends on the kind of person you are. I find working at home to be good and fun and cool, you know? Like, I think it's for the best for me. If I had to report to an office every day, I would probably get, you know, I'd probably be fucking pissed off. I'd have to actually drive there physically to be at a physical location, be around a bunch of people that I'm like talking to all day. Like, I just want to be in my room alone doing stuff most of the time. I do. I think working from home is depressing. Well, I just don't. I don't think most people, I mean, I don't know about most people. Most content creators would heavily disagree with you. I don't find it depressing. It might be depressing if you do nothing else, if you don't hang out with people, if you don't do exercise, if you don't go to the gym. I definitely found working from home more depressing and more miserable before I was exercising consistently. But now that I have that outlet where every day, pretty much, I'm going out to do something physical, you know, I go to the gym to work out and then I come home and then I do my content stuff. It makes it much easier to weather the storm of being in my room all day, right? I like working from home.
Okay, so it was really an act now or act never situation. But anyway, that's it. Again, I'm gonna link the staff spreadsheet in the description. If you are hiring, please check it out. And if there are any questions, you can throw them in the comments. Maybe I'll make a follow-up video or talk about it a little bit on stream. But that's the main deal. Sad day. But tis life. Tis life, and you know what you do? Keep moving, because that's what the globe does. All right, see you later. Have a good one. Goodbye.
Damn. Well, it sucks that it didn't work out, you know. I like pissing on Ludwig a little bit, but I don't want to piss on the grave of a company that I think is kind of a cool idea, you know, cool concept. It's unfortunate it didn't work out. It's unfortunate that the Twitch and you know, whatever Poggers audience doesn't really care at all. But that is the reality we're in. You know, they just don't care for that high production stuff. Or if they do care for it, it needs to be more personality focused. Can you say good morning? No. Sucks to suck, dude. What was the company? TLDR. It was a production company where he would do live events for Twitch that had like, you know, sets. It was like game shows and stuff like that, right? They actually had actual sets in real life. You know, like think like, are you smarter than a fifth grader? What if we did that in real life and we actually had the streamers there in person at a physical location with multiple camera angles we can switch from and all these nice graphics and stuff? That was basically the idea. And I think it is cool, but it makes sense that you know, it didn't really work out in the long term. It's not super surprising to me that is the case. Ultimately, it sounds neat. It sounds neato, but you know, sounding cool and making money are two very, very different things.